Hello, everyone. My name is Alec Blazer, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the integrative core and some ways that we can reimagine and reinvent it to make it better for the overall student experience. So, the first thing is the question, why is change needed? Um, for my personal experience and the experience of some of my peers, I believe change is needed for overall student want and desire to learn. I feel that ever since the pandemic of COVID-19, that student enrollment in not just the University of Mount Union, but colleges all across the country has just been significantly down. Student enrollment has been down, retention rate has been down, and cases of students dropping out has risen. And I think that overall student desire is the biggest reason for this. And one thing with the integrative core is that I think on paper and in theory, it is a very good tool, but put into actual practice, it is lacking in some areas. Before I get into the changes, I would just want to give a little bit of personal background. I'm a major of finance and risk management insurance, and I'm minoring in German. And I have been here at the University of Mount Union for all 4 years of my academic career. So I've seen the strengths that the integrative core can give to students, but I've also seen some of the not so great things that it has given to students. And I would just like to propose some recommendations that are able to balance that out a little bit. And I think that would be a good thing because the integrative core is no stranger to change. Since its inception in the early 1990s, it has gone through several changes. And I believe that with these changes, the integrative core can be able to boost students' overall want and desire to want to learn. As I've mentioned before, uh, in this box I have provided below, it is a student survey that was conducted by Lobsher and Cordero of this year in 2025. And the question that it's asking is, what is the most significant threat to students finding meaningful work? And there are two key answers that I want to highlight there. The first being motivation and passion. Motivation and passion, I believe, is one of the big reasons that students are struggling to find meaningful work. There are some courses through the integrative core that many students find to be non-useful for their major or just boring outright, and therefore they're not putting forth their best effort, which can really impact their overall ability to want to learn at the collegiate level. And then the second one I want to bring up too is an economic factor. As I mentioned earlier, with student enrollment and student um, engagement being down since the pandemic in 2019 and 2020, I believe a lot of students just want to believe that it is easier to go find a job straight out of high school and be able to make money as quickly as possible versus going into student debt. So I think these two things are the biggest reasons that students are not wanting to pursue a further education and find a meaningful work. So the biggest recommendation that I have for the integrative core to change is to increase student desire to learn. And I believe there are three key ways that we can do this. First is to offer more courses that are geared towards student wants. And what I mean by this is that just to increase uh, the amount of courses that are offered at Mount and cast a net that will cover a wide variety of majors and student passions. I know based on my personal accounts that there are many uh, Hans courses taken in your freshman year and in your sophomore year of studies that a lot of people think may not be important or anything like that. So I think if we were able to offer more courses during this time, it would really benefit students to be able to get off on the right foot in their college education. The second thing I have is for the foreign language requirement. I believe or I understand that the Higher Learning Commission has a set boundary and set rules that every university must follow to obtain their accreditation. But with this proposed change I am offering, I believe this still aligns with those accreditation rules. What I'm offering is for the foreign language, you take one semester of the actual language, let's say German, for example. You take one semester of the language, and then in the second semester, instead of learning the language again. It's more of like a culture history based. So this way you're still able to learn some of the language and you're still able to learn some of the culture from it as well. I believe this is pretty beneficial because Mount Union's mission statement is to create meaningful lives and responsible citizenship. And I believe offering both the language and culture side of a language requirement can be very beneficial to students. And then the last thing I have here is an out of classroom experience in your field. And I would like to cite from Hiram University or Hiram College. Hiram has this thing within their integrative core called the Hiram Connect. It is when students in their senior year of study or their final semester of study are taken out of the classroom and they find an internship, a work study, or an independent study within their field. And this just gives them the out of classroom experience to go network and figure out what they need to do in their field once they graduate to become successful. I think if all three of these things are put into practice into the integrative core, it can boost student involvement on campus already and definitely help recruit future students to come to the University of Mount Union. So those are my proposed changes to increase the integrative core course selections to more courses that students may align with more of their passions, which would overall help student engagement and their desire to learn. Tweaking that foreign language requirement so it's not all just the language, but it's the language plus the culture as well. And then preparing students for their careers, helping them find an internship, work study, independent study, just something to give them that leg up before they graduate to help them succeed in their careers would be very helpful. And then here are my sources. And that's it. Thank you.